Hello and welcome back to Raze Gaming. My name is Olo and this is set 11 of things you didn't know in Elden Ring. And what's really enjoyable about this for me is the fact that we're still discovering new content, surprising details and mechanics, and things continue to change like with the recent 1.06 patch. As always, this series lives and dies by you guys in the comments. A huge thank you for all the suggestions and things that I didn't know. With all that said though, let's begin the video. We begin with something that I wondered about from the very beginning. In fact, before Elden Ring even released, I thought there would be a mechanic that would be really cool based on Margit. In the boss fight as Margit or as Morgott, he is summoning these holy weapons that he does these combos with. Stabbing with a dagger, swinging with a sword, slamming with a hammer, or even throwing a spear at you. I thought that we would be able to learn those abilities through probably Faith used incantations to summon these weapons temporarily. Or maybe they'd be tied to the boss itself and his boss weapon. That is obviously not what happened, but as it turns out, it may have been something that was planned. You see, there's actually cut content of those summoned holy weapons. These exist in the files of the game. Specifically, the VFX of the four weapons suitable for the player and size can be seen. And this is the case for the dagger, the sword, the hammer, and the spear. This came to my attention on Twitter via Roden, whose username is RenJingles. They were talking about it in a small Twitter thread, revealing this surprising VFX for each of the weapons, and yeah, they're suitable for a tarnished. Going on to say the exact numbers for modders to play with, and actually, it turns out someone had already been doing just that. Clever Raptor 6 has actually already created a mod reworking the Cursed Sword of Morgott, allowing the player to use those VFX models which are suitably sized for a player. With that mod, called Morgott's Holy Armaments on nexusmods.com, Clever Raptor has created a little trailer showing the mod in play. And you can see it's much like how Morgott uses them, comboing them as part of attacks or special specific attacks, much like how we see magic players can summon various melee weapons in the game today. Like I said, I thought these would just be faith-summoned weapons, like what we see Morgott does in the fight. Now, based on this cut content, maybe it was considered, but for some reason was just never given to us as an option. The VFX for this exists, obviously, and can be made into a working mod. I'm not so sure at this point if it'll be something we see in the DLC, but it'd still be cool. So thank you to Roden for sharing that on Twitter, and be sure to check out the mod by Clever Raptor 6 if you want to give it a try. Okay, for this one, we have a really interesting interaction from the comments once again. Mux Masterman let us know about the Wandering Nobles Ashes summon. These are the Wandering Nobles that you'll find in Limgrave. As a summon, they're not the most effective thing, you know, they're just a couple of bozos really, 5 guys with some swords and some torches, which can be, I guess, relevant early game and help take some aggro off you, but yeah, they're not the best summon. However, apparently there's an interesting interaction in Agheel Lake. If we sneak up to these NPCs, you can hear them, as we've talked about in previous videos. They're chanting Agheel. They're worshipping the dragon of this lake.
Agheel, oh Agheel, Agheel, farewell flame of Agheel.
Now if we combine the two, we have the Wandering Nobles of Agheel's Lake summoned in against Agheel. Apparently, they won't fight, but they will worship. So let's summon them in. Alright, fellas. Do you want to fight Agheel, or you want to work with him? Or maybe, I don't know, bow down. Anything at all. You're just standing there. Oh. Oh, no way. Oh my god, that's so cool. They literally run in fear. They don't necessarily worship. They just run in fear. They refuse to help. It reminds me of Patches in the Radan festival. That is incredible. All but one has survived. Come on, Agheel, finish him off. That's it. Oh man, that's so cool. Thank you for letting me know about that, Mux. I don't think I would have found that myself. No way. For our next tip, we have one from the comments to do with these swamps. Whether it's Scarlet Rot, whether it's Poison, you're going to find a bunch of these in the game where they slow you down when you walk in them, basically if they're knee high. And obviously that's a problem. Now in the previous games we would roll through that, but now we get covered in it, as you can see, and then I've got this permanent build up and I'm taking nasty damage. We can use the item Soap, as I've shown in this series, to get rid of this effect, as well as the boluses. But as it turns out, there is a weird interaction in New Game Plus with this mechanic, where it's completely removed. As you can see, now I'm in New Game Plus in this footage, I am able to just run through it, no problem, no issues at all, like a strange benefit to just playing in a new journey. This comment comes from eMalachi, so thank you very much for letting me know about that. I had no idea they just give you that perk. Maybe it's unintended, it just seems a bit strange, doesn't it? People in the comments were saying that you can use specific items to overcome this, like the leg pieces, the fire prelate greaves, maybe just because they're so heavy, but that's not actually the case. I think there was a misunderstanding and that player was in New Game Plus. Of course, we could use things like Quick Step or a Bloodhound's Dash to get through areas like this, and you still can, but they have been nerfed in the current patch to not be quite as effective. But there is a neat detail to do with them. The lower your equip load, the further you'll actually go with Quick Step and Bloodhound Dash. So if you're going to make one of these kind of dashes across an area like this, then it might be a good idea to just get naked. Alright, for our next one, we have one to do with those loud walking mausoleums that you've seen around the world, and I'm sure you plundered in your playthroughs. Now, I got a comment quite a while back, maybe 6 or 7 episodes ago, about how they actually sleep at night. And that was an intriguing thought to me. I thought that sounds like a fun thing for this series, so I went and checked it out at night, and no, yeah, they didn't sleep, and I went to a bunch of them and they weren't sleeping. When I pull up the map, you can see at the bottom right, it's currently night, but there's actually different times of the day. So right now I'm at night, and as we get closer to morning, as it were, there will be a period where that says late night, and apparently that's when they sleep. This comes from Jerome Castro in the comments, so thank you for the specific kind of information about this, because I've tested this before and didn't realize. And there we go, it has just turned to late night. As you can see, we're just before morning, and yeah, it literally says late night above the clock. That is a little detail I guess I just missed. I never looked at that specific time, but now what's going to happen is they're going to go to sleep. There we go, I think they've just gone to sleep. So right now it's very late night, like just before the morning. This is moments before the morning's actually going to begin, and I've just heard them sort of groan and then stop making any sound. So what's happened is, as you can see, they've crouched a little bit, not by a major amount, and they're completely still. And the other one up there is the same. So here's a question: how long does this last? I don't think very long. I assume until like the morning. But can I attack and actually break the skulls and therefore bring it down while it's sleeping? Or when I attack, will it just wake up? So there's a hit. It's not moving. Another hit. It's not moving. No way. Yeah, I mean, it worked. It was very easy. Absolutely no contention. No dealing with a jumping mausoleum or anything like that. So thank you very much for that comment. That's been something that I was wondering about for a while. And also a little extra detail about the different specific tiny bits of time in the day, like late night. I wonder if there's any other weird interactions and things that occur at these times. Next up then, I stand before you in the arena of Godric, where we fight him as a boss fight, and of course I'm before the dragon, which is headless, because yeah, in the middle of the fight he detaches its head and makes it part of himself, becoming a flamethrower weapon, which is incredible. But the thing is, its head's still attached, and the boss, well, he's defeated. That is because if you can one cycle Godric during the fight, you're going to kill him before he actually has the opportunity to decapitate the dragon and take its head and make it a weapon. So obviously it's not been removed, and that is surprisingly reflected in the game. As you can see, I've one cycled Godric in this New Game Plus run through using a bleed build. It was disgusting but effective. And yeah, the dragon's head is still attached and will remain so for the remainder of this playthrough, which is a really unexpected but cool and logical detail I guess I never would have gone out and looked for if it wasn't for you guys telling me in the comments. Specifically Cody Lavalli, I hope I pronounced your name right, letting me know about this interesting and unexpected detail. That's so cool. I wasn't sure whether I'd be able to one cycle him without trying really hard, but apparently just a regular bleed build with a couple of katanas, it was more than enough. For our final thing for this video then, it's to do with a new patch and a new detail in that. You see, a very valid complaint was to do with Varre's questline. Something that we've heard of since its original release, right? There is that part in this questline where you must go do 3 invasions, and it doesn't matter how well it goes, right? You can go in and disconnect, you can go in and lose. Whatever happens as you do that invasion, as long as you do 3 of them, the quest will progress on that step. But what if you don't have access to online play at all? well then you're just screwed and you can't do his storyline. That is obviously really lame, and they've looked to address that and said so in the patch. So now on that step where he gives you those fingers to invade, you can still do that, or you can go hunt that NPC, who is found here in the Altus Plateau region at the Rife Blood Ruins. So here we are at the Rife Blood Ruins. We're at the northeastern point, this sort of small building you see on the map here, and then we have a red sign on the ground. We can use that to invade Magnus the Beast Claw, who is a really cool NPC in design and mechanics, as well as dropping a very useful item. So here we are, there's Magnus. What he is essentially a Beast Claw fighter. So he's using the Beast incantations and also the Great Star's mace. And after we do defeat this poor fellow, he's going to actually drop the Great Stars as a surprising way to get a second one in just one playthrough, and as well as some extra rewards like Rune Arc and that Somber Smithing Stone 6, which are nice. But yeah, it's a great way to get a second Great Stars in one playthrough. That's a nice addition, and I think they should really do that for more weapons. It is kind of unfortunate there's so many weapons that I choose to dual wield that you need to go into New Game Plus to get, or have a friend drop you. And there you go, he can now anoint us, even though we've only done the one invasion against an NPC, and that means offline players can finally do Varre's questline. I would love to see more additions to the game like this, changing NPC storylines slightly, or adding new NPCs to fight, to give us that second version of one weapon, like I say. Still, this is awesome and very nice to have. But there you have it. That is set 11 of things you didn't know in Elden Ring, featuring some of the new stuff in the new patch. And a huge thank you again to the people who get involved with this series, who make suggestions and details. If you have something that you think could be included in a future video, then please let me know in the comments. We might include it and give you a shout out. Otherwise, for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thank you very much for watching. And from me and Varre here, we'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.